All right, welcome, Coach Mitchell. Thanks for being here. We're going to do a preview or a look at each senior and the new coach this year. So this is our opportunity for the viewers to hear from you about your experience so far and where you came from. You're Cape grad, back home with a family. What interested you about the basketball job to start?
Primarily, I think there was an interest in coaching first. So when I came back, I did dabble in coaching here and there when I was in Massachusetts. But when I moved back to Cape, I really wanted to get back into the program because I enjoy coaching. And I think that coupled with having some young kids that were starting to get into the system, I wanted to get back in some capacity. The first thing I actually did was coach my niece's sixth grade travel team, the Mahoney twins, and enjoyed that. And then the following year, Coach Castorella had an opening with JV girls and an assistant to the girls, and so I took advantage of that. And as luck would have it, 2 years later, the boys' position opened up. So for me, it's the love of coaching and teaching, but also giving back to a program that I've been involved with since I was 6 years old. And so coming full circle with this is pretty neat.
So what would, for folks who, obviously you're new to everyone, what would folks look to or be the hallmarks of a Jeff Mitchell coach team? What are kind of your benchmarks or ethos, so to speak?
I think what I try to teach the kids and continue to teach myself is communication, being a cornerstone of anything that we do. And that's communicating with other players, it's communicating with coaches, it's communicating with refs, communicating with parents. We've worked a lot on and talked a lot so far this year about how to communicate with each other. Positive communication, negative communication. But I think allowing them and giving them an outlet to talk to me about anything, whether it's basketball related, not basketball related, providing some level of transparency with how I feel about they're doing. So I think communication, being open, being approachable, and trying to problem solve by doing that. I think so much of even in business and in coaching is problem solving, in life too, but it's problem solving. So we run into a problem, how do we solve it? How do we think critically to solve it? And so communication is key. So that's really the foundation of what we're trying to teach these kids.
So this was going to be a different year for Cape Hoops no matter what, with Coach Ray no longer on the sidelines and a new coach, and now you layer on COVID, first year coach with managing the challenges of COVID. How has that been? I'm sure for you and the kids, this is all new, so you're in the same boat as the kids. Explain how you're trying to navigate that with these kids.
There's a number of ways to look at it. I think if we look at it from an emotional standpoint, I think these kids, they were dealt a tough hand, and specifically the senior class with last year and this year. So I think that the start-stop nature of what we've been through so far this season, of we're starting, but we're only skills and drills, now we're stopping, now we're starting again. It's tough for them to develop a consistent schedule and mindset of playing basketball. I think from what I gather, the kids have done a great job about being, they're excited to play. They're not wallowing in this, and they're really taking advantage of each practice and each game. And every time, I've told the kids this, even during skills and drills that we did for 4 weeks, the energy that they're bringing is incredible. And I'm wondering if that would even be the case in a normal season. I think they're excited to play, they're excited to be with each other, and to have some of that normalcy back. So that's the emotional side. The logistical side is an incredible amount of planning. And a lot of it falls on Jeff Thorak and the Susan Ray and the staff. But something that part is challenging. It's something as simple as how do we get 3 teams up to Yarmouth, and it's got to be 3 buses, and there's 3 trips, and there's got to be chaperones. It's just an incredible amount of planning. And at some point, I have this conversation with my wife and colleagues, but it's a lot. It's a lot of planning. But you have to keep telling yourself it's for these kids that were dealt this pretty poor hand. And so I try to keep that in the forefront of my head, that it's for them, to give them an opportunity to play, for the seniors to finish out a career. And so I just keep telling myself that it's for these guys. And so my hope is that once we get into the season and develop some patterns of how we do busing and shortened warm-up times and no locker rooms and that kind of stuff, that we'll get into a groove. But it's challenging, but really rewarding at the same time.
So much of basketball, and I think sports, and I think wrongly, is success is measured by wins and losses solely, or by how far we got. Did we get to the expo? Did we get to the Civic Center? This is a different year, so we've all had to define success maybe a little differently. When you look back, it's hard to be probably retrospective now, but when you think about looking back at the end of the year, how will you define success for this year?
Yeah, really good question, and really tough to answer. And I think some of the kids will have individual and different thoughts about that. We talked about last week in practice. We talked about just that. What are we playing for? And developing a mindset where we're staying motivated. Obviously, we want to win games. I think the kids want to win games. We're practicing and playing to win games. So, we want to win every game that we play. I think prior to that, we want to get through this season in a safe format, where we're actually getting through the season, playing 11 games. But I think it's hard to define what is success. I think these kids, if we can get through the season healthy, happy, and stay motivated, and approach each game like it's a state championship, then I think we'll be in a good spot. But I also think it's these kids do have to, especially for the seniors, because there aren't playoffs. It might be tough for them to have some closure with this season, but that's something we continue to talk about.
So what's the one thing that most people would be surprised to know about you?
There's a lot of things. Trying to pinpoint one. Anecdotally or just in general?
Sure. Dealer's choice.
A couple things. I'm a huge history buff. Love history. Which actually, I love history of all things. So we're talking Revolutionary War, or we're talking history of Cape basketball. I really love history and appreciate history. But so history buff. I was once coached by Doc Rivers. Nice. Interesting story. When I was living in Boston, we did a fundraiser tournament and got to go in the Garden and play 5v5 on the Garden floor. And Doc came out and coached our squad for 10 minutes. Nice. But very, very, very great guy. But that was a fun time.
That's two, so that's fine.
That's two, yeah.
Yeah. So speed round, then we're done, Coach. Favorite NBA player? Got one word association here. Favorite NBA player? All time.
I gotta go.
You can say Larry.
Yeah, I gotta go Larry. My heart says Larry, but my modeled my game after Michael. But Larry.
Favorite teacher of anything? High school, college.
Yeah. I had a lot. I do. John Casey was the old Cape Elizabeth basketball coach, was a favorite teacher of mine. And I still see John all the time when I walk my dog in Shore Acres. And speaking about Cape basketball history, some of my favorite conversations are with him talking about just players of yesteryear and all sorts of stuff. But he was a great teacher and still a really good mentor for me.
Okay, fill in the blank. One word. This year's team is?
Energized.
My hero is?
My parents.
And I've got one day where I'm sick as a dog. I'm going to binge watch.
March Madness highlights.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Coach. Good luck with the season. We'll be cheering you along.
Thank you.